This is the one where Pod on Lansdowne gets cultured here, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to welcome on LJ, otherwise known as Art, but make it sports on social media. Hundreds of thousands of followers across Twitter, Instagram, you name it. He's here on the podcast. LJ, how's it going, man? Thanks for taking time out of your day.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, especially after last night's Knicks win. But
Yes. That we mentioned off air before we started going that you are indeed a Yankees fan. You're not the first Yankees fan to actually be on the podcast, but you're a good sport for doing so anyways. And Knicks fan is on top of that. People are probably more upset about the Knicks thing right now as opposed to the Yankees thing, but it is what it is. LJ, obviously, it's a great account. I'm sure plenty of people in our audience have enjoyed your work over the last couple of years. We'll get into all that in just a little bit. But considering that you are an arts-based sports account and you are on a Boston team-based podcast, I have to start with a question. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask this. I'll just lay out my cards on the table. Do you have anything to do with the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist from the 90s?
I wish I'd be. I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys. I'd be sitting in my my penthouse and I got a nice glass of wine. But I think it'd be a lot nicer if I profited off some stolen artwork.
You could be hiding in plain sight right now. This might be,
it's the perfect crime.
Alibi.
The perfect crime.
Yeah.
He's right in front of us.
You'll never know.
Considering it hasn't been solved in 3 decades, it might already be the perfect crime.
Wasn't there something a couple weeks ago that was like?
Was there an update?
One of the
you have a
pictures
lead
was found. I don't. Maybe not. I don't know. I was like half. Are you familiar, Jay? Did I imagine that?
Well, I think there was like a Netflix doc that came out maybe 2-3 years ago. That
I did recently watch that. This is a robbery.
Yeah, which was solid, but I didn't see any recent news.
Okay, maybe that was psychosis.
We'll get to the bottom of it at some point. We'll get our people on it. They'll get it figured out. But LJ, I wanted to learn more about your background, what had led you to create these accounts, the Art But Make It Sports accounts. What is your artistic background and your understanding where it seems like you have this encyclopedic knowledge of art to coincide with sports?
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of art. Took a art history 101 class in college, and I think I went to my parents and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking of minoring in this, or potentially majoring in." And they said, "Do you want to work in art?" I was like, "Absolutely not. I have no interest whatsoever. I just want to learn more." And they're like, "Why don't you not spend college credits doing that and just do it on your own?" So basically, everything I know comes from reading, falling into Wikipedia wormholes, and then honestly, the sort of easiest way to learn about art is just going to different museums and looking up, oh, this painting looks interesting, who's this by, oh, who's this person's contemporaries, what movement are they from, and just kind of being self-taught. So very much come from a self-taught background, which I think probably lends itself well to running the account, because I can go much more sort of horizontal in terms of pulling from all types of art history. Then it'd be cool to be very focused and just know a lot about a certain vertical, but at least when it comes to making stupid sports memes, I think having that self-taught background lends itself nicely.
Are there any sort of influences or periods of art, specific artists that speak the most to you?
Yeah, I mean, I love baking in all kinds of art and all different artists. I'd say the ones that speak, or the posts that speak to me the most, are the ones that I can use artwork that I've photographed myself. So that's always exciting. There was a post I did like 3 or 4 months ago from the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston that I was at on March 8th, 2020. So like right as COVID was hitting, I think people were like elbowing instead of shaking hands at that point in time. And I snapped a photo of a John Singer Sargent painting that I just, I have all these photos stashed in my phone. And so it's just been sitting there, and there was some of these like people pointing. I can send it to you afterwards. But there was like a image that went viral of, I think it's the Hornets bench, and they were all pointing at somebody stepping out of like almost on the line. It's like, oh, cool, I get to use that. So to be honest, it's less about a gravitation towards certain periods and certain artists, and more just the things that I've had a chance to see and then I'm kind of waiting to use. So.
You mentioned the stash there that you have. I gotta ask.
I was gonna ask about that too. I got
that because that was gonna be a segue into a point about Liam in just a moment. But LJ, I'm curious, how big is the stash? Are you using cloud storage? You have to be. Right? Are there folders, like subsets? Like, oh, I already know, like, I don't know when to use this specific painting, this work of art, but I can later. What is the process, I guess, is a better way to kind of ask that as an all-encompassing question.
Yeah, so they're all just in a Google Photos folder. So meme fuel and then just paintings and can't even load, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
Wow.
So that's organized by date, which then in turn is basically organized by where I took the photos. So I have a pretty good sense of where things are within that folder. Sometimes I'll star stuff and then it goes into like a separate favorites folder, because I've now gotten to the point where I have just so many photos that it's like, oh, I can see that image, but I don't quite know where it is, and that gets really frustrating. And there have been times where I've had to comb through the entire thing basically to find the image that I know is in there. I just don't know where it is. So I could probably do a better job of being a little bit more organized, but to be honest, I don't think it'd be as fun for me, because part of what's fun is knowing where the thing is within that folder, if that makes sense. It's like, right. I'm sort of testing myself, which then in turn goes...
The chase. You love the chase.
Yeah, and that, I guess, in turn goes to like when people say that I'm using AI, I just think it's funny because it would be like, that would mostly defeat the whole purpose for me, because part of it is the figuring out and kind of connecting those dots. So
we can put a pin in the AI conversation.
Can I ask what the count is at in that Google folder?
Yeah, so that one's got... it should have more now, because I went to the auction houses these last few days. I didn't put them in there, but 11,970.
Oh my god!
Crazy.
I have a kid who's now 4 months, and his folder is 1,776. So he'll eventually probably catch up. But
yeah, if that over 4 months, that's a pretty good pace, I gotta say, for the kid.
Yeah, I like taking photos. And yeah, I think I have the upgraded. I think you had asked of like cloud storage. I think I have the upgraded like iCloud for because I don't keep them like I guess some are local to my phone, but a majority are sitting in like my Google Photos cloud account. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be able to. Like my phone's just like a basic. I don't know how much storage it has, but like if I go back to like if I were to go and click ones that I took in like 2015, you can't see this, but like 2015, there's like I'd have to download it onto my phone because it doesn't look there anymore. But yeah,
it's a whole thing. Liam, does any of this sound familiar in your role doing social for Morning Brew? Because you've got a complete arsenal of posts, memes, you name it.
Yeah, no, LJ, they like to make fun of me because my camera roll is essentially exclusively memes, and when you're like, no, I just see something, you see something and you remember where it is in your camera roll, it's like, no, I totally get that. Reaction images, memes. It's certainly not as impressive as remembering beautiful pieces of artwork, but
I'd argue it's just as impressive. I think accounts that can fire off the perfect SpongeBob meme or what have you, Simpsons moment. I don't know. To me, it's not the same thing, but it's the same idea of like being able to memorize those snippets of things you've seen in the past.
Yeah, because I get asked all the time, like, how do you organize it? I'm like, I don't. It's just all in the camera roll. It's just, it lives there. If I lose it, I lose it. But
we'll find it there and lives up here. So.
Yeah.
Rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's Fennessy's philosophy over there. Right. LJ, is there a sport that you prefer, I guess, posting about on the account and comparing that to art? And would that same sport or sports also be the same that you enjoy watching in your free time?
I don't really have a preference in terms of like,
sure.
I'll take whatever the moment gives me, regardless of what sport it's from. I'd say my favorite sport's baseball, and a Yankees fan, but more just like an overall baseball fan. And then my favorite sport to watch is probably college football. So like college football Saturdays are fairly reserved, and then as the season goes on, college football Wednesdays, Tuesday, whenever they play games throughout the week. So I try not to miss any college football, but yeah, I don't. I mean, the basketball posts end up doing, like, especially during playoffs, end up doing really well just because I think lots of people are tuned in and it's more international as well because there are a lot of folks that follow the account that aren't from the States. I'd say the most gratifying ones are like doing, like women's sports that, maybe other accounts don't look at or touch. And then to me, they're all the same. Sports are sports. And then seeing those get a lot of traction is always nice. I'd say like it becomes a little hard to do some of the more quote unquote like niche sports. So things like cricket or rugby or niche to myself, just because I think part of what makes the posts good is the fact that like I work in sports and I know a lot about sort of every sport or a lot of sports other than I'd say cricket and rugby. And I think what makes posts good is knowing the context of what's happening in that sport and knowing like what you might want to avoid, what about what just happened is important, and maybe comparing something on that theme. So I think it surprises people when they find out that I come from the sports side as opposed to the art side. But
not to get
that's a good.
Oh, sorry. You going to say, Liam? No,
I was
Liam,
just going to ask quick, just like building off that. I gotta know. I see you take requests sometimes in your replies and everything. What is the strangest sport you've ever had somebody request an image for?
That's a great question. I think maybe it's not strange, just more like unexpected.
Or just like bizarre, yeah.
Frisbee golf, I get like tagged in more than you think. Ultimate frisbee as well.
Just ultimate. Just ultimate.
No, ultimate.
You can't say the frisbee part.
The F word.
They'll kill you. Yeah.
There goes any of my clout in the ultimate community. I think I did one way back. I guess it lends itself nicely. You get a lot of people, diving and jumping, but part of it there is just like I don't know the true context of what I'm comparing on, so it becomes hard. But yeah, probably ultimate and frisbee golf. So.
Right. And not to get too philosophical, too deep here, but you mentioned a global audience for these accounts, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram. It kind of speaks to the universal nature, not only of sports that people can enjoy, but of course the universal nature of art. How it's almost like a universal language. So to kind of bring that together clearly it has that international appeal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also just at the top layer, it's just so visual and in nature that like you can kind of show it to anybody, and you don't really have to know about sports, and you really don't have to know about art. And then I think what makes it even more fun is just some of the Easter eggs I try to bake in, where if you do know about either side, then it becomes even more interesting. So
you mentioned AI earlier, and I had to bring it up. First of all, as a podcast, we could say hands down, thank you for not using AI like within this entire sort of process, or resorting to AI slop, things of that nature. We don't need that. Certainly got to be an interesting time for someone who clearly knows ball about sports and ball about art in general, putting this together, a one-man operation, and not leaning on those sort of AI tools, especially as we kind of get to this uncharted territory of what quote-unquote AI art can provide, which has been disheartening over the last however many months to kind of see that happening. But it's then you have someone like you on the flip side who's, again, doing this, one phone in a dream, a Google Drive account in a dream.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of have the stance of like, if you're using ethically trained AI for utility, then it makes a lot of sense. For example, like I take all these photos at museums, I have them in the folder on my phone, and I use Google Lens. So if I click Google Lens, it finds that painting online and it gives me the title, the artist, the year, and that way I don't have to take a photo of the nameplate in the museum because otherwise it takes up space, it takes up time, and like that makes sense to me. If I were to be using something like that to make a comparison, right, that is the art part of what truly, I guess, makes you a human, and like if you strip that away, then what's even the point? I actually had somebody write in, God, it must have been over a year now. Just they sent me their project, and they're like, I made a program that lets you put in a sports photo, and it gives you the art back, and I used your account to train it. Isn't this awesome? I was like, no.
I was more referring to something along those lines. Yeah,
that's like you didn't. The whole point of why people hate this stuff is it's trained on creatives' work, and they don't get compensated. They're not part of the process. It's like, you didn't ask me to do this, you just did it. And like that's all these models now that are spitting out the, as you said, slop. It's all somebody's work originally, and like they get lost in the process. And part of what the account tries to celebrate too is like sports photography, and you see some of that even get lost on people not attributing, and all these aggregator accounts just sharing, oh, this photo is so cold, and it's like, well, who took it? There's somebody behind the lens.
Someone had the
skill. Their name's there if you're pulling it from Getty.
Yeah.
Someone had the skill. Someone had the wherewithal. Someone had to be at the right place at the right time with the right lighting, right settings to get that moment. And like,
it's cold,
that's something worth celebrating.
Yeah, it's cold because somebody's trained to capture that frame, and it's like, and then people just share it for, I don't even know, for likes, for like, to me, it's what gets rewarded on social media is just like so fundamentally broken, and gets just more and more disheartening every day to open up Twitter, Instagram, especially Twitter. But it's just like, I don't know. And also it just gets frustrating. It's like people, like I get the content I put out there is good, and it's like there should be lots of versions of what I do in terms of just people making unique things, doing their small part of the internet. And I just feel like it's a little bit incentivized online for the opposite. It's like the incentives are to like take other people's work and just try to get as much traction.
Engagement farming.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You just summed up my rant. So
yeah, we could continue. We could continue to talk about the enshittification of social and everything like that. But to bring some more levity into the conversation, I was curious, LJ. I don't know if you could boil it down to one, because clearly there have been plenty instances of your posts, your contributions popping off. So maybe there is more than one. If you had to boil it down to one to maybe three, the best reactions you've gotten to something that you've put on the accounts, whether it's someone of such high stature being like, oh my God, like I can't believe I'm the subject of this post and it's popping off. What would you say top three reactions that you've gotten over the years?
I think somebody once commented that the account makes life worth living. That was pretty sick. I don't really know how that can be topped in terms of like feedback that comes.
Hell of a thing to put on the resume, though.
Yeah, exactly. It is always fun when I guess another fun one was Andre Drummond slid into the DMs and he's like, "Yo, I like your account. Make me one." I did, and he was like, "Oh, that's dope." And then that was it. That was the extent of our conversation. That was funny, but it is also it's cool when, like, it's rare, but like the athletes will sometimes like it and share it. And Caitlin Clark, she follows the account. She'll like stuff every now and then. So yeah, I don't know how I can top that comment, but
have any major athletes?
No, I was gonna say in a similar vein, like out of all the side-by-sides you've done over the past few years, like is there one in particular that you're like, this is your favorite all time? You're like, this one's perfect.
Magnum opus, if you will.
These two go together perfectly. Like maybe one that didn't even get a ton of engagement, or like one you're just like most proud of like, oh, I'm happy I saw this and put two and two together.
trying to look through here. I mean, it's cliche, but it's like always like the next one. It's like
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, right? Yeah.
It's my favorite ring. The next one.
It's like, I don't know. Part of it is it's addictive making them. Is like I'm kind of like a drug addict in the sense of like I need that, because the fun in it is that like that hit of that you get, that high you get when you come up with something, especially if I can do it like in the moment, and then it goes away, right? And then it's like, all right, like when's my next meme? I did one. It was it last year, 2 years ago now, not last season, but the season before, in the AFC Championship game, the Bills and the Chiefs, right? Is that AFC?
Yep.
The NFL tagged me in that photo of Jason Kelsey without a shirt on, and I was like at dinner, and then I saw it, and right as we were leaving, and I did something like within, I don't know, got something out within like 10 minutes or so, and that like blew up. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, anything that I can do live is always fun. I don't have as much time anymore to kind of just be like roasting on the couch watching games, but for a good chunk of the account's existence, a lot of it was just like I was sitting on the couch, like looking
As
at
it happened.
the Rudy Gobert and Draymond. I think it was like last year, 2 years ago, when he put him in a
chokehold one.
Yeah.
Pablo Torre put on there. Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah.
I wasn't even watching anything. My phone started lighting up with notifications like, "Hey, do this one," and I saw it. I like instantly knew what would start to, or what would work, and so got that one fired off, in the moment. So
those ones have got to feel good when you know instantly, like, got it. I know that this could be a Rembrandt, or this is Picasso, or so, like, oh, I could do Guernica easily for this one, or whatever it might be. That's got to feel good.
That feels good. It also feels, it's a different, I guess, kind of feeling, but like if I look at something and I'm like, I have an inkling of what artist would have something in their portfolio that matches this, but I don't know the exact painting. And then like, they're like today, I guess cover your ears if you're a Celtics fan, but like OG, when he was swinging from the rim, and it's like, all right, so if you look at the reactions of, I think it's like Tatum and Bridges, and they're like guarding their face and as he's swinging, and it's like very reminiscent of what you see in paintings of the Resurrection, but OG was horizontal and not vertical, like Jesus tends to be, and he's flying in the air. Some Resurrection paintings you get Jesus flying, so I spent a lot of time like seeing if there was a Resurrection painting that fit, and it didn't work. And it's like, all right, what other versions of people on a swing? And there's a I'm not going to pronounce his name, Fragonard, the swing. There's some versions there, and it's like Goya does people on a swing at times, and it's like, all right, I found a Goya that perfectly got OG, because there's lots of people swinging this way, but not with their feet up in the air, and I think that's what made the image like unique, is that he's not just horizontally, his legs are more vertical than his head, and like found a Goya that fit perfectly. And it's like, all right, it's not knowing the exact painting, but it's knowing that like Goya will have something, or hopefully have something in his catalog that can fit. So those are fun too.
I'm always so impressed when it's something that's more like a more abstract piece of art you'll pull, like when it's, recently there was like a scrum in one of the NHL playoff games, and it's just like it was just a bunch of colors. I forget what
George, I'm not going to pronounce his name right. I see it because I don't know art history. I can spell things out, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
George Matthew. He has like lots of reds, lots of blacks. I think it was Devils, Hurricanes. Lots of reds.
I think that's so good when it's something like that. And then also the ones, and you sort of alluded to this when like the title of the piece of art or something, like when it plays in, like there's even more layers to it. And the one that I was thinking of was the Super Bowl. You did, it was like the Chiefs bench
As Edvard Munch. I forget the exact. It was like it's a funeral.
Yeah, and it's late game. It's their bench, and they're all like resigned to the loss. And the title of it is something. It's like at the
like
funeral or something.
The helmet matches the
the
casket. Those are fun. Especially with something like the Super Bowl. So.
I think that's so cool when there's layers to it. And then I also wanted to ask you, so for art but sports, obviously like sports is a huge not concept, but like sports is there's a lot of sports, but it's at least it's contained to the sporting world. So like when something comes to you, there's not this vast, like it can be anything. But then so for art, but now, like how do you limit yourself to not just being like everything that happens in the world? Like, oh, there's something. Like you put a self-imposed, I get like regulations on it as to what you'll like seek out.
I think my life puts those.
Yeah.
It's like I only have so much time in the day, and if I didn't have like an actual job, maybe I'd just sit there all day and just pump out memes. I mean, I think with that account, it's. I had it as politics, and then I just wanted to do a little bit more, so I just made it now as in just like everything. But I like the stuff that I know is going to get a rise from people. I think on that
like
account,
the Rizzler,
Julia
the Dreyfus and the Rizzler.
It's like
just
a cheat
stuff
code
that goes viral and is stupid or political. That regardless of what side anybody sits on the political spectrum, of just stuff that is going to make people. And like talk about it. So, but yeah, I could probably spend, I could spend hours and hours on that account, but it's a lot more of like if somebody tags me on the sports account to something that's not sports and it's interesting, then or it's just an image that I see like that Rizzler Elaine photo. But yeah.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but as you are on a Red Sox podcast, we figured we wanted to end by picking out a couple of iconic Red Sox pictures and seeing if you didn't, no big deal, but if you were able to potentially point out a potential comparison in the art world. Jake, I believe you have the examples ready to share on your screen.
I do. I'm going to screen share, and as this is a audio format, I will say what the image is that I'm pulling up for everybody.
And I will try to make him full screen, but I can't promise anything. That is what it is.
Okay. So entire screen. Oh wait, can I just do this?
You had like a half hour to get ready for this, Jake.
Chrome has lost permission to capture my screen. So that's terrific.
There it is.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
That's okay.
It's not working.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I got it now. We're good. All right. So the first picture.
Start with the straightforward one here.
Okay. All right. Let me see if this works now. Share screen. Share screen.
It's really good audio content.
I know.
This
is so
I'm on a work
embarrassing,
call.
dude.
Yeah, right.
Next
slide, please. Next slide. Liam, do you want to circle back on that thing we talked about last week?
Okay, here's the first. Fitz, I can't pull the two, but I can pull. Anyway, first one. Fitz, it's down there. What do I do with it?
Oh, it's on the screen. Oh, it's down there. Oh, okay. Oh, it's being added. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
First one here, we have Pedro Martinez tied up to a pole. This is summer 1999.
So there's, I've seen like one or two of them. I'd have to dig through my phone. I can send you after, but there's images of like women holding babies, but instead of the babies just looking like a baby, they look like Pedro, where they're like completely wrapped in white and all you can see is their head. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. I'd have to dig it up, but I can find something that works for that.
Interesting. Right off the bat.
All right.
Wrapped up
that's
babies.
crazy. Okay. Next up.
They kind of look like bowling pins with like just people like human faces.
Okay, I think this one could be really special. Fitz. There you go.
Why did? Okay. we're keep going with this one early.
It's the other producer.
Oh, is that when
This is here comes the pizza, and it's a super low res 2007 Nesson screenshot. There are no high res images of this incident, unfortunately.
the Pentecost. I'm trying to. If you look up look up Pentecost paintings, they have like figures below, and then usually like a bird up top. And if you cropped it the right way, you could get the pizza to match the bird in heaven, and then the people below.
Oh yeah.
How do you do that, dude? How is that possible?
Yeah, some birds, big time. And the flames over their head for Pentecost as well, of course. You could get some flame emojis and overlay it on the on the folks at Fenway Park. You could absolutely do that. Wow, that was quick.
All right,
so
and
good.
we got two more for you here. This is a classic image here. This is Carlton
I thought we were
Fisk.
going to start with this one. I think we were going to work our way
Fitz,
up.
Fitz, we had some technical difficulties. So this is Carlton Fisk waving at fair, 1975 World Series. In the foreground, you have... who is that pitcher? Do you guys know?
I don't know.
I'm sure
I
my
wasn't
dad will
there.
be able to tell you right away.
And that's Johnny Bench is on the right side of the image, watching the ball go out.
It's funny. The first thing that comes to mind is the image that went viral yesterday of Cat playing zesty defense on Jason Tatum. And I didn't like spend time thinking about, because then you get the context. It's like, all right, I don't really want to post that, but that's the thing that immediately comes to mind. This actually, there's probably a few that could play of what I mentioned before of within the resurrection, especially because you could. I don't know if it was a come from behind home run, and it obviously like won the game, but if you look at like figures below in the resurrection, you get lots of expressions and sort of surprised, excited hand motions. So I don't know off the top of my head of the specific painting, but I'm sure you could find one that kind of matches a lot of these figures. Although you probably want to bake in the other two, so I don't know. I'd have to spend some time thinking about it.
That's all right. That's all right.
I was thinking crucifixion or resurrection as well, with the arms kind of out a bit there with Fisk.
Yeah, it could work.
And so for our final one, this is for you, LJ, Yankee fan LJ. Here we go.
Let's see it get out. There we go.
So Jesus healing the blind.
Well, Jake, which one is it?
Oh, right. So this
the
is
listeners.
Jason Varitek, July 2004, stuffing his glove and hand into Alex Rodriguez's face.
Yeah, there's a theme in art history, and there's a few of them of him with like getting his hands real into the face of people that he's healing. So I'm sure there's one within that genre that would work.
Well,
And
there
that's
you go.
all we've got. And
That's
that's all
it?
we got.
That's perfect.
I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna do the security guard, the legs
The
up.
bullpen caught. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that one?
No, but I've spent time thinking about it, and I haven't come across there's ones because it's the legs up, and then the guard also has the hands up.
Yeah.
Right.
Either one is easy on its own, but you got to get something that matches both. And I've never found or thought of something that got both. But one day,
Who was the guy in Catholicism who was crucified upside down in like an X cross?
Saint Peter.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Could be a good lead on that one.
I've got it. Fitz, we'll throw that one up just for the audience.
Did you just find it? Did you get
But
it
the
in there?
problem is-
I just did. There it is.
You can only see his legs, right? You can't see the rest of his body. I think
That's correct.
It's upside down. Yeah. So it's like you have to like play with the crop of something. One day.
Two V's or a W, perhaps something like I don't know. Hey,
Maybe, yeah, it's like what's his name? Robert Indiana? Just like the big word sculptures. Like you said like LOVE, the love sculpture.
that's him. I'm
but,
familiar.
mm,
He's
yeah.
never done a W, sadly.
yeah. One day I'll come up with the perfect one for this.
And LJ, when that one day does come, when you do find it, where can people find you on social media to be able to find it, like it, retweet it, you name it?
Well, I guess when that day comes, I will give you all the exclusive.
Scoop.
We'll get the scoop. There's a POL exclusive.
I think Twitter is just Art But Sports because of the character limit, and I think everywhere else it's just Art But Make It Sports. So.
And there's also Art But Now. Also Art But Now.
And Art But Now. I think that's on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah.
That's right. We'll follow all those accounts, folks. And again, LJ, we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming onto the show. I wish the New York Knicks and the New York Yankees the worst of luck over the next coming days, weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, you name it.
If we had luck, we'd have a chance to win, but we've never had that to begin with. So at least the Knicks. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, LJ.
Yeah.